Hey there, my name is Elmar.
My name is Clemens.
And thank you for joining us on the Retro Game Couch.
Yes, on the lockdown retro game couch.
Yes. Today we're announcing a new challenge. We're both going to create a mod file. And mod files are 4-channel music files which originated on the Commodore Amiga in the late 80s. And they're created in so-called mod trackers.
Yes, and the rules for creating our mod file are quite simple actually. It has to be at least 2 minutes long. Samples can be obtained from anywhere, so we'll have to dig out some old archives on the internet for some raw 8-bit samples.
Yes, and the system that we are going to create our song on have to be made between 1985 and 1995. So we can pick any system from that era. And
Yes.
we only have 2 weeks to finish our song.
Yeah, and we found 2 really cool judges for this challenge. We have the 8-bit guy, David Murray, very cool. And we have legendary Dutch producer Bert Smorenburg judging our song. So no pressure there.
We're both very excited for this challenge. So,
Let's go! The challenge has just started and I'm on my attic looking for my Amiga 600 and my Atari ST. Because I'm not certain yet which system I want to use, so I'll just get them both and check out which tracker program I prefer, I guess. Yeah, since I moved house, I haven't put my retro game room back together, so everything is still in boxes, so I have to look for them. But yeah.
The story is true.
I've spent the past hour or so listening to old tracks that I made on my PC. Yes, I used to make music with music trackers, so with this challenge, going back to making music on a computer is awesome for me. This song in particular I made in 1997, which is 23 years ago, which is crazy. So for this challenge, my weapon of choice will be the Amiga 500. It's the only computer I have that fits the time period. It seems to be working, so really excited. Let's go.
While browsing my attic for my Amiga 600 and my Atari, which I found, luckily, I also found an MSX in one of those boxes. And that may be a fun third option to have. There's bound to be some mod tracker software for the MSX. I need to look it up, but it'll be a fun third option and one Chaos certainly doesn't expect. So let's search the internet.
It's been an afternoon of Googling and frustration, I guess, because there isn't an easy way to transfer files from your PC to your Amiga.
Well, I spent a couple of hours trying to get a working tracker floppy disk for my Atari ST, which proved to be completely fruitless so far.
There are some ways, of course, with a null modem cable or using Workbench 2.0 or with specialist hardware. I don't have any of that, and I don't have the time to build something like that. What I do have, however, is an external floppy drive for my Amiga. And what I'm going to try and do is mod a GoTech into the external drive so I can at least use image files.
So I opened up my Amiga 600 to get the compact flash card out and maybe put a tracker on there.
But yeah, this is the thing with old hardware. There's always a catch. So,
It's really time to stop because the frustration has set in, but I'm powering on. Oh yes.
Well, as you can see, I've got ProTracker running on my Amiga, and I didn't mount the GoTech in the external drive as I wanted to. I ran into technical issues, so I mounted it internally like I probably should have done from the start, and I left the top cover off because it won't fit. And it's all right for now. I'm done tinkering with the Amiga. I got it working, but now when I just wanted to start creating a song.
Quick message to Chaos. Stop liking my despair posts on Facebook.
I discovered that I don't have a mouse for the Amiga, which you really need in ProTracker. So I'm gonna call it quits for today. I reached out to a friend on Facebook. Hopefully he has one, and if he does, I'll have to fetch it tomorrow and see if I can get started tomorrow. But this has been a day wasted on technical issues. I got one, yay!
Yes. After a quite frustrating couple of hours, I've now got a sound tracker running on my SD. So I think I gotta start looking for samples and see if this thing actually works. Making progress, finally.
A few moments later.
Man, this is frustrating. I finally managed to get the tracker to work, and now apparently the person who modded this Atari somewhere in its life didn't connect the audio output to the start cable, so it's not outputting any sound. So I think I'm gonna switch over to the MSX, see if I can get that one to work, and if I can't, I guess I'll have to get the soldering iron out and mod the audio in myself.
Let me just take you into the frustrating process that is ProTracker for me right now. So this is how it looks when I start it up. Looks all fine. Then I go to disk operations. It always says the wrong directory here, so I need to adjust that and press here for some reason. Not sure why. Now it reads my disk slowly. Then I load my song slowly. Now we have the song. Now let me play what I have. And what you want to do is play over that and just. But when I do this too long at random points, it will just hang. That's very frustrating. But back to creating some music.
So, the name of the game of the last 2 days has been frustration once again. But yeah, glorious mod tracker sounds from my Atari ST. I had to fix the sound connection to the start cable coming out of the back of this Atari. For some strange reason I had to put the samples and the mod files on a different disk than the sound tracker program itself. No idea why. And oh yeah, before I forget to mention my MSX, the MSX is 8-bit of course, so it would never have worked with mods. Oh well, everything works, so now the challenge can really start. Let's see how to make a mod file myself. I'm maybe a musician, but I've never made a mod file in my life, and Chaos has made plenty back in the day. So here we go. This is my first test song I just made, and I guess I know the basics of how to make a mod file now. So I guess it's time to compose a track, and I'm going to do that in the only way I know, with actual keyboards and drum machines and stuff, because, well, that's the way I compose tracks.
I phoned Clemens again this afternoon to ventilate my frustration, and we both came to the conclusion that the problems that my Amiga seems to have seem to be related to RAM, because it reads from disk fine, so the GoTech is working, but as soon as things get complicated or too much, it hangs. And then I realized I had this installed in my Amiga. This is a RAM expansion which I bought years ago, but I don't know if it's any good. I don't. So I took it out, and sure enough, I've been working in ProTracker for the past 15 minutes without it hanging. I'm making music Finally.
We'll have to bleep that one out, but I've been working for an hour, I think, on a cool new song ID. Of course, didn't save anything yet. And now it's crashed. You don't love these old machines?
Yeah, so the song that I'm working on, it's just not going the direction that I want it to go. So I'm going to ditch that ID. I'm gonna stop working on that song, and I have a new ID, which is a bit late into the challenge, but I'm gonna try it anyway. I'm gonna try and make a sit tune in Pro Tracker, and I'm gonna try and make a medley of a famous Dutch sit composer named Jeroen Tel. I'm gonna take some of his best sit tunes and mash them together into a medley, and it will force me to be creative because the sit tunes use very simple instruments and effects, things that I've never done before in a tracker. So that's what I'm gonna try and do, and hopefully it's the right choice.
Okay, it's the next day, and yesterday my Atari kept crashing, so I decided today to switch over to the Amiga last minute, but after fiddling around for half an hour with the compact flash card that's in there and Win UAE and stuff, I didn't remember how to do anything, so that's that for now. I contacted Chaos, and as a last resort, I decided to switch over to emulation. So this is Pro Tracker running on an emulated Atari ST-E, which works, apart from the fact that the sound is incredibly distorted. This is my nice, subtle kick drum. So this doesn't work either. At least it's unusable like this. So perhaps I can try another tracker first. Yeah.
So we're halfway into the second week, and the end of the challenge is nearing. And I guess the end of the song is nearing as well. The length is where I want it to be, and I'm now just tweaking and making little adjustments in effects and really coming to appreciate, for example, the arpeggio command, whatever. I'm using little snippets from Cybernoid, Turbo Outrun, Alloy Run, Golden X, and Cybernoid 2, all awesome Jeroen Tel songs. And I've really come to appreciate even more how much these composers in the 80s and 90s were able to create on, for example, the Commodore 64 in this case, with such limited resources. It's really, really amazing. And so for this song, I've also tried to limit myself to spark some creativity. So I'm only using 6 instruments throughout the entire song. And it's really helping. It's really forcing me to do creative things, which is really awesome.
Okay, finally some good news, if we can call it good news at this point, with 4 days to go until the challenge is over. Okay, I've got Pro Tracker running in an Atari emulator. Apparently it wanted a different sample format than Sound Tracker on my real Atari needed. This one prefers IFF files and the other one wanted SPL files. As far as I know, they're both raw WAV files, but whatever. I won't ask any questions. But well, at least I've got something working now. And I've made my first baby steps to get my song ID from real instruments into a tracker. So this is a kind of the basic chord progression I had in mind, something like this. Something like that, along the lines of that. And yeah, I've got the first steps made in my tracker now. So it's finally time to compose some music. Heck yes.
A few moments later.
So the process is, I'm working on the song here, listening to a Jeroen Tel song on YouTube, and I have Pro Tracker commands here on the other tab. And here on the second monitor, I usually have ADF Opus, which is a program with which I can edit Amiga disk images on the USB pen drive. So I can copy samples on there and copy my module off there to make a backup, of course. And for the arpeggio command, I have to use chords. So then I'm switching to my daughter's keyboard and yeah, making music and trying to find out if it works. And Rampage is probably the only one who knows what I just played there. So awesome progress, and I just wanted to share this with you. Really happy with how it's going.
The first minute and a half of my mod file is done. I'm quite satisfied with it. But I was thinking of some cool stuff to put in the bridge section. And then I thought, maybe it's cool to pay tribute to my favorite mod file of Chaos back in the day. From the late 90s when I was 7 or 8 years old. I actually remember him giving me a burned CD with his mod files on it and loving it. It's this one, imported in a Windows mod tracker. It's actually a Stream Tracker file, so he had a little more channels than we have to make do with right now, but this is it. It's called Your Spirit Will Survive. It's not in the same key and the tempo is also slightly off, but I think I will be able to put this, or at least attribute to this in my bridge section. I already checked and there is a way to export samples from this tracker. Let me see. Yeah. So I can export these to use them in Pro Tracker. So that'll be cool. Let's hope it works out. So that has worked. Just a little update on the bridge section. It's actually going really well. I'll just give you guys a taste. You'll hear the end result later, of course, but love it.
Tomorrow is the last day of the challenge, but I'm already done today with my song.
Today is Friday, one day before the deadline, and I'm done. I continued to deep into the night yesterday. I was on a roll, and yeah.
I did some tweaks. I cut out an entire pattern that I didn't like and did some other tweaks, and it's done. I'm not gonna do anything anymore. I'm gonna transfer it to my PC, then record it in the Amiga emulator so that I can upload it to YouTube.
I had a good listen to it just now, and I'm really happy with the way this thing turned out. I'm calling it Quarren Dream. Seems like an appropriate title under the current circumstances.
I had a lot of fun going back to creating a mod file. Very awesome, and yeah, finally done. Very cool challenge.
Very cool challenge, and I can't wait to hear what Chaos has made.
Okay, so I've been asked to judge 2 songs. They're both 4-tracker mod files, and one of them's by Elmer and the other by Clemens. And so I listened to both of them, and they both sounded really good. In fact, I would say they both sounded better than anything I could make. So I listened to them, and I tried to decide which one was best. And it was a really difficult choice to make because they're both like almost like neck and neck. I couldn't really make up my mind until I read the description a little bit more clearly, and I saw that Elmer's song was actually not his own composition. It was actually some remakes of some songs by Jorn Tell. So that being the case, I have to go ahead and judge in favor of Clemens because it's his own composition, and I think that's worth something. So that's my choice.
Dear crazy trackers in this world, my name is Bert, and I had the amazing task to give an honest opinion on the tracks of Elmer and Clemens. Now, I am coming from this world, and that means I know absolutely nothing about the whole tracker world. So I studied it, I listened to it, I saw loads and loads of YouTubes. I'm completely aware now of the amazing community that is going on. Nevertheless, I had to judge it on musicality, programming skills, all that kind of stuff. So what I found out is that the Elmer track is really, really good because it has a lot of variation. It changes keys several times. It was great fun to listen to. I know a little bit now about how difficult it is to program it, so respect for that. However, it is, of course, an existing song. And Clemens, he wrote a complete piece by himself. He wrote it on keyboards first. He's a very musical guy. He can play many different instruments and stuff, and he wrote his own piece. And I think he's not as experienced in this whole tracker world as Elmer is. So again, a lot of respect for that. So if I have to judge it on that, I would say Clemens has one step before Elmer, just because of the fact that he composed the song himself. But if I listen to it in an absolute way, and the song of Clemens was a bit, how do you say that? It's a bit simpler in the way of structure, nice beginning, a nice breakdown, almost like a drop, a nice ending. But it was not as interesting as the track from Elmer. So if I have to judge it only on that, I would prefer the Elmer track. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to say, summarizing, respect for Clemens for writing his own song and using this crazy software and the old machines. I saw all the YouTubes about how it had all the difficulties working and stuff. So a lot of respect for that. He has, for me, 9.9 points. But Elmer's track was just a tiny bit more fun to listen to. So that's why I give him 10 points. So that's my judgment. It's the best I could do. I wish you all the best. Bye.
Did we tie?
We did.
That's a result.
Bye.
Yeah, better safe than sorry.
True. Yeah, that's a very good result.
They kept us waiting.
Yeah, especially Bet. Wow. It went back and forth between your song and my song. It was
I really thought I'd won for a second there.
Me too. I'm very happy that we tied.
Yeah, and that's a very good result to this challenge.
Yeah, it's the best possible result, really, because they're so completely different songs. Very hard to compare.
Definitely.
Yeah. Very fun to do.
Yeah.
Very fun challenge.
I had a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah.
It must have been fun for you to revisit this.
Yeah.
After all these years.
Exactly. Creating a mod file once again, which I haven't done since the 90s.
Since I was a little boy.
Yeah. Really cool. So, for now, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time on the Retro Game Couch.